Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Max Wieners. Brilliant business. You can see it's a much nicer place than we had last time. Last time we were actually dining in the home of a deceased serial killer.
What?
That's why the floors and everything was so shitty. That was actually part of the appeal. The business has since run under since our last episode, which is why we moved over to Max Wieners.
Queso, sour cream, jalapenos, and beans.
Ah, yes, Max Wiener. You know, some have accused him of jizzing all over those nachos. He assures you it's purely, it just happens to look like that.
I'm sorry, he's been doing what?
Did you see those nachos?
I did. I didn't. Oh, look, a wiener. I'm making a wiener for this guy.
To the max?
I'm going to make it to the max. I wonder if a max wiener is just everything on top of it.
See, the trick with the nachos is that you really want to, you get the nachos to the right temperature so that when you jizz on them, the flavor really soaks in.
I'm concerned about your focus on the bodily function there. A pretzel bun, so how about a pretzel bun?
Pretzel bun, oh, they're just ripping off Wendy's now.
Cheese and a ketchup. Some nachos, so they want queso, jalapenos, and refried beans.
There was no jizz on that one.
They didn't want it on that one, it was okay. Don't worry about it.
Customers with no taste.
I think that they probably just didn't want their hot dog to be too salty.
Pretzel bun, totally Wendy's. That was all Wendy's.
You can get pretzel buns for hot dogs in other places.
You can, but
Oh,
as
dear.
soon as Wendy's brought out the pretzel bun,
Yeah.
within like a couple months, it was everywhere. Every single restaurant had a pretzel bun.
Are you saying there's some kind of secret order in place putting all these buns together?
No, I'm saying Wendy's is ahead of the curve and everyone wants to copy them.
Yeah, I don't think Wendy's is nearly as good as you. Open the ice basin. Oh, God.
Well, I was at McDonald's the other day, and now they've got this whole like artisan sandwich menu, and it feels a lot like they're trying to make the sandwiches look how like Wendy's makes their sandwiches.
Wait. McDonald's changed their menu?
Not their menu, but there's like this little like small section of the menu where it's like pick what kind of bun you want, pick what kind of meat you want, and they're trying to make it look like real nice. I think they actually call it artisan sandwiches.
I guess I need to go into McDonald's sometime and see what this is about.
Yeah, well, when I'm at work, a lot of times it's like, ugh.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because you actually take a break and eat.
Yeah, how dare I?
I know, right?
That doesn't happen too often. It's mostly if I don't have enough time to eat breakfast before work. See, you just done the nachos.
Well, you missed the other one where I did too.
See, oh man.
I'm concerned that you're focusing on what I'm doing with these nachos.
It's Max Wieners. What were you expecting?
Oh, I like that. See, in the other game, when people asked for like soft drinks, you actually had to make them their soft drinks. But in this one, it looks like the soft drinks are just something that you occasionally have to deal with, like refilling the ice machine.
Which makes sense, because most restaurants now let you, like, they put the little...
Like the automatic one, yeah.
The automatic one out front. I think it's concerning that one person has to do all of this stuff.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to...
It's a bit of an unrealistic business model.
I'm just trying to impress my boss.
That's not how it works.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, you weren't around at the time, but I used to be a pretty well-respected restaurant manager.
Pretty good employee, yeah.
No,
okay,
just
sure.
a well-respected restaurant manager.
Was this at, Uno's?
No, it was at my prior restaurant. I actually employed Jason and Travis.
Oh, of course.
They were poor performing people, and I had to fire Travis at one point for...
Very tragic.
Well, he threatened the way the business was being run. And it was a problem.
I'm smelling a conspiracy.
Well, I mean, you can view it. We have security camera footage up on the channel. Where you can view exactly what he did.
Only if it is black and white and grainy, and it's hard to make out what's happening.
I mean,
Otherwise, it's not real security cam footage.
Premium.
Fog dog. What on earth is a fog dog?
What is that? Oh, well, they have like little fancy names for the stuff you get depending on like how they want their recipe.
4 is gonna be upset. 5 is gonna be upset.
That's actually the toilet.
Yeah, you're gonna disappoint the toilet.
Nope, see, taken care of. Dry dog. Wiener. Man, wieners are real popular at this place.
At Max Wieners?
Yeah.
Man, imagine that.
I don't understand just the popularity of the wiener is astounding.
I would like to take this moment. Bit of a brief digression.
Yes.
Do you like cooking shows?
Yes.
Which one's your favorite?
I'm a big fan of like Chopped and MasterChef.
Have you ever watched The Great British Bake Off?
I haven't. I've like walked by while it's been watched in the other room, but
You need to.
I've never actually. Oh shit.
Because all the American shows are...
Pale in comparison.
They pale in comparison. It's always a competition, and it's always like, welcome back to Cupcake Wars. This is people who love making cupcakes. And then they cut to the interview with this, person, like super punk hair, tattoos, everyone. She's just like, literally, if I don't win this competition, the mafia's gonna break my legs and kill my children.
Well, that has always been. That's something I've always noticed. Like, MasterChef was in town, and my dad was like, "Hey, MasterChef is doing auditions in Chicago," and he, said maybe you'd want to try out. And I was like, "Well, that'd be neat, but I don't think I'd fit in with what they want. I don't have any interest in faking a tragic backstory."
And it's so dramatic, and every single time that they're like, who's gonna be eliminated? Who's gonna be eliminated? We're gonna eliminate Tom, and then Tom's just like, you gotta be fucking kidding me! His nachos were stale, and I can't believe it! And they're just like, Tom, fuck off. And it's so dramatic.
I know in MasterChef they're a lot more like, or not MasterChef, Great British Bake Off, like the hosts are nicer.
Everything is super nice, and whenever there's criticism, it's like, oh, this is delicious. It was a little undercooked in the middle, but the outside was great. I love the choice of this. Your presentation was wonderful. Just maybe work on this a little bit. And all the contestants, it's like, you get eliminated. What are you going to do now? And she's like, oh, I'm retired. I was just kind of doing this for fun.
Yeah.
I'm retired and make cakes for my friends in my spare time. For fun. And everyone is just so nice all the time. And the thing that always bugged me about cooking shows, and I actually saw it happen once, was, I'm like, granted, I'm not a super picky eater, but I have my tastes and I kind of stick to them.
Yeah.
There are things I don't like.
Yeah.
And everyone is subjective. And I'm sure there are people who are better at saying, oh, this food was better than this food, on a more objective basis. But there are going to be things that people just don't like.
Yeah.
And I saw an episode of some show where, a guy used, I think it was red onions, and the chef was just like, I don't like red onions. I'm marking you down. It's like...
You can't mark him down for that.
But, he just made a dish just because you don't like it. Someone could give me an avocado something. I was like, I don't like avocado. I'm sure it's well made if you like avocado.
But
I don't like avocado. It's not for me.
Yeah. And I feel like...
And so I never got the point of those shows, because, okay, maybe, all right, the secret ingredient is beer. Do something neat with beer. It's okay, there's a little bit of skill with that.
Yeah.
But with British Bake Off, it's all split into, multiple challenges that kind of fit people differently. So there's one where everyone has to make the exact same thing.
Yeah.
They're all given the exact same recipe and told how to do it to a certain extent. Sometimes they purposely leave out little bits of information. And then it's a very technical skill test, in that they show you the perfect creation. This is what it should look like, and then it's a contest to see who can make that the best. But that's only a third of the show. Mm-hmm. Then they do one where it's I forget, but they different things where they're actually testing different skills of the bakers. Okay, here's a technical one. Here's a more you're kind of free to make some cool structure with your food. And presentation is a big deal. So it actually feels more like a legitimate test of what the bakers know, as opposed to pointless drama.
Yeah, I like that, because I don't know, that's probably why I prefer to go on something like that instead of the ones that people can actually go on, like the American ones. I think MasterChef is a little better about that stuff compared to Hell's Kitchen, which is also a Gordon Ramsay show. But I haven't actually sat down and watched enough. Now, Chopped, on the other hand, is less about drama and it's more just have you ever watched Chopped?
Yeah, my mom is really into Chopped, so when I still lived at home, I would catch decent amounts of it.
So you know how it works, though?
God, I know they slowly eliminate a contestant week by week, but that's kind of every show.
Yeah, so basically what they do is, the big thing for Chopped is they give you a box, And then when you open that box, it's the ingredients you have to use.
Right. Okay.
And they have all kinds of different ones. There's like celebrity chopped, there's sport athlete chopped, all kinds of stuff. So chopped is interesting because you can see how people use different kinds of ingredients. But they're also not just normal food. Like sometimes it'll be like gummy bears. There's been gummy worms. I know they've
Yeah, they do fun, weird stuff.
They've got like beef testicle, you know, that kind of stuff.
So here we go. I did a little bit of Wikipedia research.
Yes.
In British Bake Off, there is a signature challenge, a technical challenge, and a showstopper challenge.
Okay.
The signature challenge is for the amateur, because they're all amateurs.
Yes.
So that's just refreshing in it off the bat. Or be like, oh, well, you know, I'm young and I'm just kind of looking to study it and get into it more.
Yeah.
And it's just, everyone's so nice. Like, there will be episodes where, like, someone will finish pretty early because they just, you know, something they were making wasn't as complicated, and they'll just hop over to another table and help someone else finish their food.
I have seen stuff about that. Well, like one of the stories that I've read about British Bake Off is like somebody kind of screwed up. So instead of allowing the producers to use that for like drama, I think it was the two of the hosts started like swearing or something so that they couldn't actually use the footage because it, you know.
Because swearing?
Yeah. Which is kind of...
I don't think I saw that one.
That's kind of awesome.
Well, and it's also funny because in, like, Chopped and in Masterclass and all whatever those shows are, it's normally, like, a pretty nice facility.
Yeah.
British Bake Off, like, you know, obviously it's nice. They have all these nice little proving drawers and refrigerators.
Doesn't it
and
mostly take place in, like, a garden?
It's a tent.
Yeah.
Like, out in some big mansion's backyard.
Yeah.
But, like, that's it. It's just a tent. So there was an episode where it was really hot, and they were making, like, some kind of a dessert dish, and everyone's chocolate was melting because it was so hot.
I think I was actually kind of watching that one.
So anyways, the signature challenge, the bakers show off their tried and tested recipes. So it's probably, like, stuff that they make a lot of.
Yeah.
It's more personal. The technical challenge is the one where they're saying, okay, make this. Do it as nice, as awesome as you can. It's like one of my favorites was it was a dish where you have to make like a super long tube of like it's first a layer of this, layer of this, layer of this, and it all wraps together. Mm-hmm. And then you have to like loop it around in a pan. Mm-hmm. And the trick is that you have to bake it for a really long time.
Okay.
And only one person actually knew that. So when they went to the judging, every single contestant except for one, they're like, the inside's completely raw and literally inedible. Like, it's dangerous to eat. Because it's a technical challenge, but they'll withhold certain certain pieces of information.
Yeah.
So, like, they didn't, you know, it's not going to say in the instructions, bake for 5 hours or whatever. It's just going to say, bake until ready. And so they kind of have to think, like, oh, geez, what's that supposed to do? And then there's a showstopper challenge where it's a lot more like presentation.
Right.
Where like someone made a Dalek, and then like the whole cake was the Dalek, and they had to like do all these cool things, and they do some cool stuff because they really have to make something that looks really neat. And I think one of the season finales I watched, the technical challenge, the instructions, it was 3 lines of instructions, and like line 1 was make 8 scones, make 8 biscuits. Like that was it. So they just had to make like no frills or extra stuff. It was just make a super basic biscuit, but make it as perfectly as you can. And then they make a whole batch, and so they'll go through and they'll say, okay, you know, it's great, but they're baked kind of uneven, or I can tell that the foods were touching when they were in the oven.
Yeah.
Because I can see that on the food, and that's not cool. That hurts the presentation.
Right.
And it's on Netflix. I highly recommend it. Go watch British Bake Off.
It's
so happy, and the judges are so much fun.
It's too bad that the BBC basically killed it, though.
Yeah, they were switching a bunch of
they basically
around.
Well, they got rid of basically every judge except Paul Hollywood. But I believe that at least 2 of the 2 that aren't Mary Berry, I think, are getting their own similar show on one of the other British channels, which I'm sure will find its way to America eventually.
I know there was one episode where one of the judges, they made a bunch of like pastries because it's a bake-off, so a lot of pastry stuff.
Yeah.
And they would go and they would test a bunch of stuff, and then she would just be like, "Oh, can I take one?" and she would take someone's pastry and just put it in her pocket. And she did that for every contestant. And by the end, you could see like this big bulge of pastries. It was so funny.
That's
It's like it's something you just don't get that in American shows.
I like it.
It's so pleasant. It's so happy.
And it makes you happy when you
It
watch
does.
it. Instead of like being annoyed that one of the contestants is like a strangely obnoxious asshole for no reason.
Well,
Alright.
looks like we finished.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Max Wiener.
We will be heading to Big's Burger next time.
Maybe. We'll see.